Hey everybody, Mr. Fitz here, and got my bass trombone, and the bass trombone rocks and all the other low instruments. But this is kind of a lesson on line number 113, and this is applicable to all instruments in the band. Let me just get this something ready over here, because you're going to need to be able to see my foot. So the concept is the dotted quarter followed by the single eighth note. All right, now if you look up at the top of the page, it gives the explanation of how that works so that you come up with 1.5 beats. All right, so what we do with line 113 is the first two measures are played just as straight up eighth notes. All right, now what I'd like you to do is just say the first two measures with me and tap your foot like this. Ready? 1, 2, ready, say it. T, 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 T. All right, and if you look at my foot, 1, 2, ready, go. T, 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 T. Now that's easy enough, right? So then what you do is just play it on the first note. I know the fourth note of each group changes, but just play what you said on your instrument. So on the trombone, I'm going to play it on an F. All right? 1, 2, 1, 2. And I got a little bit of a chipped note there on one of them. All right, so you get the idea of that, right? So that's not too bad, right? All right, so now what you're going to do is you're going to change the fourth note. But the key thing is your foot absolutely positively has to be tapping. All right, so here it is with the written notes for the first two measures. 1, 2, ready, go. So you notice that last note changes when your foot comes up after the second down tap. Now the logic here is that in the third measure they tie the 3/8 notes that are the same pitch together. So then I'd like you to say those this way. T, T. Like T, E, E, T, but you kind of slur them together, except they're tied, right, because they're the same note. So T, T, and watch the old foot. T, T. So notice that down, up, down, that's the first 3/8 notes, and then the last 8 notes on the up. Now I'm going to play it on one note and play the 3/8 notes tied together, but I'll play it on just the note F for trombone. So play it on your first note, whatever that is. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, watch that again. Ready, go. Okay, and that's what you got to work, right? So now, after you can do that, then what you do is you change that last note from, the original first 3 notes and play the actual written note. In the case of trombone, you play a G. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, now, once you can do that and make sure your foot is tapping, then the rest is a piece of cake. Because all that happens here in the next measure, they tie a quarter note to an eighth note. And if you do the math, you figure out a quarter note is actually worth how many eighth notes? That's right, 2. So the quarter note replaces the first 2 eighth notes. So it's the exact same thing. Your foot's going to go ta, ti. Now, whenever we get into the actual reading of dotted quarter notes, I like to think of it this way, that the quarter note, you say ta like you normally do when your foot goes down and comes up. And then when your foot comes down the second time for the half beat, well, for 1.5 beats, it's the extra half beat that the dot represents. You think of another ah. So when we play the third measure and the fourth measure and the fifth measure, I'd like you to think of this. Ta, ti, ta, ti. And my hand is doing what my foot's doing, okay? Save a little time putting the thing down. And to make it a little bit easier, just do it on one note. Again, don't switch to the different note. So what I'll do right now is I'm going to play the fourth measure, fifth measure, and sixth measure. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, so that's the trick with that. Ta, ti, ta, ti, ta, ti. Okay? So now I'm going to play the whole thing for you. There's the old foot cam. By the way, the breath mark that's in there, don't worry about it. Breathe there if you want, but don't let it mess you up. All right, here goes. 1, 2, ready, go. All right, so practice that line like crazy. If you can really master that line with a foot tap, then any of the other songs that they have on this page, basically you just take that information and you put it to use with the other parts. All right, so have fun.